My name's Philip and welcome to the Macro Insights number 3. David, welcome.
Thanks, Phil. How are you going?
Yeah, really well.
Yeah, good.
So today we're talking about the property cycle and affordability index and investment value. David, affordability index here in Melbourne, what's it running at currently?
Currently running at 45%, Phil.
45%. That's actually quite impressive. So where's that in terms of its long-term average?
Well, the Melbourne market typically stops growing when it hits 50.
Okay.
Okay, so what that affordability index suggests right now is that there is around about 5% to go before it hits a natural price ceiling. And that's why we think there's probably 1 to 2 years left of momentum in this market before it sort of tops out.
So where are we on the property clock for Melbourne?
Well, the affordability index is one thing that we look at. As you know, there's 30 things that we look at. I think that the Melbourne property market, generally speaking, if we had to put it somewhere, would probably be at about 10.
10.
So
where would you put the units currently in Melbourne versus houses?
it's a harder question, as you know. But look, I think the units in Melbourne are arguably at the bottom of the cycle, because you've had house prices double since '09, and you've had units do nothing since '09. Most units do nothing since '09, depending on what suburb and what sort of unit. So they're almost at opposite ends right now.
Yep. What about the median price of Melbourne? How's that tracking?
The median price, depending on where you get it, is at $850, and Sydney's at a mil, so
yep,
about a 15% differential right now.
So where are we at since 2012? Where are we up in terms of values?
Most suburbs in Melbourne are up about 60 to 80%. There's some suburbs that are...
Mount Eliza, David? How's Mount Eliza going?
Mount Eliza's going pretty well. I think Mount Eliza's up 50%. I think Mount Eliza's got more than 2 years left of growth, hopefully. Full disclosure, that's where I live. But there are some suburbs in Melbourne that, you could say that are at 9 o'clock and maybe have 3 years of growth. But equally, Phil, as you know, there's some suburbs in Melbourne that are maybe at 1 o'clock and have passed the growth cycle, and the Chinese-dominated suburbs are probably those ones that, your Mount Waverley, Glen Waverley,
Eastern suburbs. Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks, David.
Thanks, Phil.